Hey everyone, it's Clarke here, and thank you so very much for stopping by my channel today. I really appreciate it. And some of the products I'm going to be using here can be found over at scrapbooknerd.com. And one of those products is this darling little stamp and die set from My Favorite Things called Dashing Deer. And I just love this set, and I'm going to be using it for part of my card today. So I'm going to create an A2 sized card, side folding, and the base of my card is some Bristol smooth cardstock from Strathmore. I've just taken some antique linen distress oxide ink, and I'm just applying that with a distress tool and just kind of creating a bit of a background here for the little scene that I'm going to be creating with that really adorable little stamp set. So you'll just see me applying this on here and just fairly lightly. I didn't want it to be too dark, although antique linen is a very light color anyways. I just wanted a little bit of an impression of some background color there. Now I'm just going to take a little bit of water in my hand and I'm just going to spritz that and sprinkle that over the card. And that's going to create that ink to oxidize. And what that does is it just creates those really sweet looking little splatters on that card front. So I really like how that looks. I think it adds a little bit more interest to that card and to the scene when I'm all finished here. Now what I'm going to do next is I am going to grab my Misty and I'm going to use some Nina Desert Storm cardstock for the little critters that I'm going to be stamping out here. And so I'm just going to put that into my Misty and I'm going to set my little images onto my cardstock and I'm going to stamp them out in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Now, I didn't really need my Misty in the sense that I'm going to have to double stamp because with the VersaFine ink, it's such a juicy ink pad and you rarely ever have to double stamp with it. But I just wanted to stamp all of my images at one time, so that just is really super easy with the Misty. So I'll just put my magnet down onto my cardstock there and stamp out my images, like I said, with that VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I love this ink. It just creates a really crisp, nice image. And I'm not going to do any Copic coloring today. I'm actually going to end up using my Polychromos colored pencils from Faber-Castell. Now I'm going to show you how I get started here and then I'm going to put some music on and you can just watch. This is just colored pencil coloring. I don't do anything fancy. The colored pencil shows up really nice on that craft colored cardstock and that's why I chose it. And this is a really nice cardstock with these pencils. It just goes on so smoothly and it blends so nicely. So I just really love that. And I'll talk about the Polychromos a little bit more when I'm all done my coloring here. So like I said, I'm going to put on a little bit of music here for you while I finish up my coloring and I'll catch you back here in a few minutes. don't end up coloring all of the images on camera just because it's the same process for all of the little images that I use for the project. But these Polychromos color pencils blend so nicely. I absolutely love them. I recently just bought a 60-piece set. I had a smaller set before to try them out and I love them. And so I decided to go for it on Black Friday and I bought the 60-piece set. I really wanted the 120-piece set, but I was too cheap and decided to purchase the 60 instead. So it is a little bit less, well, it's quite a bit less than the 120-piece, but the 60-piece set has tons of colors in it, more than enough for me for what I'll use it for. Now you can see that I just took the stitched hillside borders from Lawn Fawn and I created that little stitched piece that is going to look like snow. And I also took the My Favorite Things scalloped frames and I created a little frame using some silver glitter paper. And this is just going to frame in my scene. These are some little mama elephant dies called birch trees, and I just cut those out of that white cardstock, same white cardstock as my card base, and I just glued those onto the back of my scene here, and that is all going to be adhered over top of my card base to create this little scene that I have going here. So I'm just going to use my Tombow Mono liquid adhesive, and I'm going to glue that down to my card base, and then I'll just take my little critters and I will put those on some foam adhesive just to create a little bit of dimension with my card and stick those down to finish up the scene. So I'm just going to, like I said, add that adhesive, and then I will put that over top of that area where I have that Distress Oxide ink to create the kind of like an impression of the sky. You know, sometimes our sky looks like this in the wintertime. It's kind of like just sort of like a little bit of a glow in the background and the reflection off of the snow, and it's maybe kind of a little bit hazy and cloudy. And I've seen our sky kind of look like this in the wintertime. So I just thought it was appropriate, and I like how it looks behind these little critters for sure. So now I've got that impression of the snow and those trees. I could have colorized the trees as well, but I like just how they looked in the white. I was just showing you there the die that I used to create that little scallop frame for My Favorite Things. Now I'm just going to take, like I said, I'm going to take all of these little bits and I'm thinking about using them all, but because I created this card in portrait and not landscape, there's not as much space to sort of spread these little critters out. So I decided to only use one bird and then the little deer and the bunny. And I'm going to have that little bird flying across the sky with a little twig in its beak. I'm just going to take a little bit of Wink of Stella and give all of my images a little bit of shine. And to finish off the little details for the card, I'm going to add some stickles, and I'm also going to add some Nouveau drops in glossy white to create a little bit of snow in the background. So I'm going to add a little bit of diamond stickles to the little birdie's hat there, and also to the little hat on the deer. And that'll just give the card a little bit of sparkle and shine. And I'm going to take a little bit of Christmas red stickles as well and add that to the berries that are on that berry twig in that little birdie's mouth. I'm going to take my Sakura white Jelly Roll pen and I'm going to add some little spots to my little deer's back. And I will also add a little bit of a highlight to the little eyes of the deer and the bunny. Some of my lines, my black lines from my stamping got sort of, I don't know, I guess they're a little bit dull from the pencil crayon or the color pencil. So I did go over some of those lines, for example, the noses and the eyes with a black gel pen just to darken them up a little bit too. So you might find that when you're coloring your images, something like that happens every once in a while and you just have to go back and add a little bit more detail into your card with a black pen. So this is the Nouveau Crystal Drops, like I said, the glossy white, and I'm just creating a little bit of an impression of falling snow. So I'm actually going to add that to the little critter images as well to make it look like they have a little bit of snow falling on them as well. So I'm going to just give that a little go with those Nouveau Drops. I love this product. It is absolutely gorgeous. I have quite a few colors. I sure don't have them all, but I have all of my favorite colors, and I just love that product. Now I'm going to take my anti-static powder tool here, and I'm going to apply some powder to this black cardstock. I'm going to stamp out my sentiment in some Versamark ink, and then I'm going to take this Nouveau Fine Detail white embossing powder, and I'm going to emboss my sentiment on here, which is going to be Season's Greetings. And then I'm just going to take the My Favorite Things die, and I'm just going to, this is the stitched sentiment strips die, and I'm going to cut out that little sentiment, and I'm going to adhere the sentiment onto my card front using some dimensional adhesive, some foam adhesive, just to pop it up a little bit. And I like how that looks in the end. I think it just adds a little bit of pop to the sentiment and makes it quite noticeable and dramatic. And I think it just adds a nice detail to the finished card. So that is going to be my card today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm having so much fun with this Christmas card project series. It's been a lot of fun for me. So I hope you're enjoying it too. Don't forget to leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't. I'd really appreciate it. And thank you so much for taking the time to stop by my channel today. It means a lot to me. Have an amazing day, guys. Bye-bye.